Hey guys, thank you so much for joining. This is going to be my very first pattern release and I'm really excited about it. This is going to be the Hexagon placemat crochet pattern. It's pretty easy to whip up and it is super cute and chic, and you can do it in any color combination that you would like. You can add fringe to the sides if you'd like, but this is going to be just the basic placemat. You're going to need these things to create your placemats. First, you're going to need some medium 4 weighted yarn. I used Karen Cotton Cakes. I really love these yarns. They are sold exclusively at Michael's. They are a cotton blend, so it's definitely giving you the ability to use cotton, but it also isn't as rough as 100% cotton can sometimes be. You're going to need a 5mm crochet hook. It's also H or 8. You're going to need a stitch marker. I personally use a bobby pin, but you can also use a safety pin or a traditional stitch marker. You're going to need a yarn needle or a darning needle to weave in the ends, and you're going to need a pair of scissors. I do consider this to be a relatively easy pattern. It is very repetitious and super easy to pick up on. It might be a little bit difficult at first, but by the end, doing it over and over again, you will get the hang of the pattern and be able to make hopefully the other 3 placemats without needing to reference the pattern every time. You can make this pattern any size you want. You can stop at a coaster size, which is probably about this big. You can go a little bit bigger to a medium size, which could be something to put underneath a vase of flowers. The one that I'm going to be showing you today is a traditional placemat size. So we're going to start off with a magic loop or the magic ring method for casting on. This is going to be a little bit more difficult if you're a beginner, but I do prefer using the magic loop because it gives you a tighter center to your circle. You can also use the slip stitch, and I will show you both methods in case you wanted to use that. And I will pick back up at the end to continue the pattern. Okay, so I'm going to start with the magic loop method first. So you're going to place your yarn at the bottom left of your fingers. You're going to bring it up to the top right, down, and up to the top left. And then you're going to bring it back down and hold that with your thumb. Flip your fingers over. You're going to go under and pick up the second stitch, the second loop, sorry, pull it under, wrap it up, and then you're going to put it underneath this second loop. And then you're going to pull through just like a normal stitch. You can also let go because it is difficult to get it underneath sometimes. So now you're going to see that you have your tail, you have your yarn that connects to your ball of yarn, your working yarn, and then you have a little circle. And if you pull on the working yarn, it doesn't move, but if you pull on the tail, the circle gets smaller. My yarn is a little bit tangled, so, or not tangled, but wavy. So now this is what it looks like. And again, you can tighten this to be smaller as well. So now we're going to go in and we're going to single crochet 6 into the center of this circle. That's 1. Two. 3. 4. 5. And the last one, and 6. So you can see there's a pretty big gap there. Again, the good thing about the magic loop is if you just pull tightly on the tail, it will bring it in quite small. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So now I'm going to show you how to do the slip knot, which is pretty simple. So you take your tail end and your working end and you put them in the shape like this, and then you cross them over and then pull through just like that. You can look up videos on how to do the slip knot if you're a super beginner, but it is pretty simple, and once you get the hang of it, it'll be like second nature. So you're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then you're going to enter in 5 single crochets into the second chain from the hook. One, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And as you can see, that first stitch that we had skipped over is right over here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And again, when you pull tightly on the tail, it will bring it closed, but it'll still have a little bit of an opening. If you wanted it to be closed and didn't want to use the magic loop method, you could always weave this to be at the end, weave the yarn in, the tail yarn in, to close that gap a little bit more. But the methods are pretty much the same. It's up to your preference which one you'd like to use. Okay, so now I'm back. I went back and made sure that I got my magic loop all set up. I have 6 stitches all the way around, and you're not going to slip stitch to join the round. Instead, you're just going to single crochet. So you're actually going to single crochet 2 into the first stitch. Once you do 1 single crochet, you're going to want to stop and add the stitch marker into the first stitch. This is going to tell you exactly where the beginning of the round is and where the end of the previous round is, so you know where to stop. So we did 1 single crochet, so go into that same stitch and do a second one. We're then going to continue for the next 5 stitches, doing 2 single crochets in each stitch. You should have 12 all the way around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so we have 12 stitches around. We're going to start the next round by removing our stitch marker. We're going to single crochet in the first stitch, add our stitch marker back, and then we're going to single crochet 2 into the next stitch, single crochet into the stitch after that, place 2 single crochets in the next stitch, and then 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets. And again, if you can't tell, there is a pattern. We're doing 1 single crochet into 1 stitch and then 2 single crochets into the next stitch, and we're doing that repetitively all the way around until we reach the end. My cat is very talkative right now, not sure why. So when we end this stitch, we are going to end it with 2 single crochets into the final stitch. Okay, so you should now have 18 stitches all the way around. You're going to remove your stitch marker, and we're going to place 2 single crochets into the first stitch. Remember to place your stitch marker back into the first stitch, not to lose your place. And the second single crochet. Next, we're going to go around and do in the next 2 stitches 1 single crochet. So 1 single crochet in 1 stitch and another single crochet in the next stitch. Now we're going to do 2 single crochets once again. So the pattern goes 2 single crochets in the first stitch, single crochet 2 in the next 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochets in the next stitch. And you're going to continue that pattern all the way around until you reach the end. So at the end of your round, you're going to finish off with a single crochet in the last stitch, and you should have a total of 24 stitches all the way around. We're going to start the next round by removing the stitch marker and single crocheting into the first stitch, adding our stitch marker back, and then single crocheting into the next 2 stitches. So that's going to equal 3 single crochets to start off, and then we're going to do 2 single crochets into the next stitch, and then in the next 3 stitches we're going to single crochet, and then single crochet 2 into the next stitch. We are slowly increasing them so that every single round there's going to be more single crochets between each increase. So we are going to finish off this round with 2 single crochets into the final stitch. So I'm sure you can see we did the first 2 rounds and then we pretty much repeated them every other time, increasing the number of single crochets between increases. So you're going to continue doing that until you reach a size that you desire. And I will meet you back at the very end where we're going to be starting on the triple crochet edging. So one thing I just remembered as a tip, if you run into an issue where you're nervous about having to be able to count all of those stitches, especially when it gets up to 90 or something like that, and it becomes a little bit cumbersome, a little trick is when you start a row with a certain number of single crochets, you're starting it as an odd number, and that means that you should be ending on 2 single crochets which means that your next row is going to be an even number. So again, vice versa, if you start with 2 single crochets, then you're going to be ending with 1 single crochet, and you're going to be starting the next round with an odd number. So if you find that you're at the end of your row and you're going to be, you're supposed to be starting, let's say on round 9, which is an odd round, and you end up with 2 single crochets at the very last stitch, you did something wrong and you probably miscounted in one of the rows. So then you're just going to have to backtrack and make sure that you have the correct number of rows each time. And just as a progress video, you can see that as I kept going, the hexagon becomes more pronounced. In these earlier stages, it's a little bit less pronounced, and as we get bigger, it'll be a little bit more obvious. And then of course at the very end, we're going to finish off with our border, which might round it out a little bit. Okay, so my foam ran out of storage, which is why I have 4 stitches started here, and I'm not completely starting from the beginning. But for the 25th row, you're going to start doing with the triple crochet instead of the single crochet for the last round of increasing. You're basically going to yarn over 2, insert your hook, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 more, yarn over, pull through the last 2. And you're going to continue again with the same increasing pattern. So you're going to do 23 triple crochets, and then after, in the 24th stitch, you will do the 2 triple crochets for the increase, just like how you were doing before with the single crochets, but now with triple crochets. So for the final round, we are going to single crochet in every single stitch all the way around until we reach the end. It's important that we make sure that the stitches are tight. As you can see, because of the triple crochet, it's a little bit loose here, but the single crochet will clean that right up and make for clean edges. Alright, so once you're done with the single crochet row, you can see that it's very clean cut now. So now you're just going to slip stitch into the next stitch and cut off the end. And then you're going to weave in all of your ends. And as you can see, it's a little bit bubbly here, but once you steam this, it will be completely flat. And I also wanted to show that this is all that I've used making the one placemat. I have been able to get 4 out of this with only a little bit left over. And this has, as you can see, roughly 530 yards. Or 485 meters, so it does have quite a lot in here. So you would be able to make your placemats for, I think this is $9.99 at Michael's. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you guys like it. Leave comments, and if you have any questions about the pattern, or if you have any questions about anything, feel free to reach out to me on my website or on my Instagram. And I also have my email listed on both of those as well. Thank you guys so much.